You look at the numbers, and before we even get into it, what's your reaction?
Well, the unemployment rate seems to me the headline. It's kind of an important booster of confidence to see that we are at such a low unemployment rate. It looks kind of hard to criticize Trump's economic success. But, of course, the unemployment rate is kind of a fuzzy number because it depends on a person's willingness to be looking for a job. And I don't know if it's entirely comparable to 50 years ago. We have different thoughts about that now.
Well, but I mean, it looks. I mean, we've had a lot of people on the set this morning say this is a bit of a Goldilocks number. It's a bit of a choose-your-own-adventure situation to some degree because you also have the wage issue on the other end of it. How do you look at both and square them up, especially against some of the earlier numbers we heard this week? Yeah, well, the flat wage number, this report, suggests that it's not really such a strong economy. It all seems GDP growth is kind of slow, but the unemployment rate's at a record low, or almost a record low. So you can spin this report any way you want. I'm thinking we have to. Does that mean we should just throw it out? I mean, are there other numbers you'd prefer to look at this morning? Well, my more unique perspective is to think about predicting there will be a recession eventually. Whether it's in 2020, I don't know. But there will be. And the question is, how severe will it be? And economists are not very good at going out another year. But I think that there are, this is my book, there are narratives in place that make ourselves a little bit vulnerable. Not just the narrative that the Fed is already at a low interest rate and doesn't have ability to expand, but there are other narratives in the background that I think could come big and powerful. Notably, the narrative about machines replacing jobs, artificial intelligence. That's going so strong, you wonder why it hasn't scared consumers yet. Well, it hasn't scared consumers yet because you're looking at a jobs number, as the president just tweeted, at 3.5%, unemployment at 3.5%. You got it. That's exactly it. When the unemployment rate goes up in the next recession, which is coming at some point, they will shift their interpretation to interpreting it as something to do with artificial intelligence. You won't be able to say they're wrong either because those factors are there. And so we could have a more serious recession. Your talk this morning seems to focus on, could there be a recession? A small recession doesn't bother me as much as a big one. And I think that we have things in place that over the next few years could worsen the recession into a bad one. Maybe not as bad as the Great Recession. Right. But the problem is that we have narratives afloat today that are not strong, kind of long-run narratives that are in the background and waiting to affect confidence. So when you said there could be a recession, but not something that looks like the recession, the Great Recession of 2008, what does it look like? What are the things that worry you? What are the things that don't worry you that makes it different? Well, we still have some element of the pessimism or the fears of that remain from the 2008 recession. So this could be like the 37-38 recession. I hate to bring the Depression up, but people in that recession, that's a long time ago, the term secular stagnation came up again because people thought we haven't really felt good about ourselves since the Great Depression, and now we have another recession here. So that narrative could come back again. I don't mean to be negative. I'm just saying, from my perspective, I want to think about severity of recessions, and this is not an exact science, but it's something about a potential for worries. The other thing that may change in the next recession is that we may be less excited or willing to do conspicuous consumption. We have President Trump modeling conspicuous consumption, lavish lifestyle as a success strategy. And that attitude, I believe, I argue in my book, that attitude can change. It can change abruptly. And it can also add to the severity of a recession. If people don't want to spend money,
you're arguing it would change the way the consumer spends money. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting.